live
right.
now.
3, 2, 1, live. Well, it's, you know, it takes a minute to prepare. All right.
We're live on my end. Hi, everybody. Richard Hart here with Wendy O. Wendy O has a YouTube channel. She talks a lot about crypto. We did an interview once before, maybe 6 months ago. I was in Liechtenstein at the time. And now we're going to do it again. By popular request, apparently a bunch of people said we should do another one. So some guy said that he hated me, but loved the interview. So you should do it anyway. I was like, oh, all right. That's why
yeah,
do you hate me?
Yeah, no, a couple people had said that. So, and I get a lot of emails about getting you back on and a bunch of comments, and I generally do that. Oh, we're live on my end. Nice. Welcome back to the O Show, everything crypto and NFTs every day. I am your host with the most, Wendy O, and I have a very special guest here today. I have Mr. Richard Hart. He is the HEX guy. Is that right?
Well, I mean, I might be the Pulse guy now. So the HEX chat room just took over. I don't know. I think the HEX chat room's got like 40,000 people in it. And then like the PulseChain chat room's got like 70,000 people in it. So there's like 50% more people in the PulseChain chat room than the HEX chat room. Okay. And there was at least 130,000 unique addresses that sacrificed for free speech and freedom of movement at PulseX and PulseChain. So I think the Pulse and PulseX communities are larger than the HEX communities now, which is interesting. Yeah. It's so much easier to explain. Like, people can't understand HEX, but they understand Pulse really easy.
Yeah, we'll get into all that. But before we get started, I just want to let my audience know this is not sponsored. I am not being paid to be here with Richard. Richard is not being paid to be here with me. We're just kind of vibing. As far as people wanting to know if I hold HEX or not, I remember I might have received a little bit of an airdrop of HEX many, many years ago. Unfortunately, I don't have access to that wallet anymore. So I have nothing to dump on you guys. If people are wondering that. So just so we get that clear, also too, in my chat for my audience, if you're not respectful, my mods will throw you out. We don't tolerate any type of abuse or any mistreatment. If you don't like somebody, you don't like somebody's opinion, simply go somewhere else. I'm from the streets. I don't tolerate that stuff. But so we're just going to we're going to chat with Mr. Hart, and we are going to kind of talk about what's going on with PulseChain. But before we do, Richard, can I ask you some other questions?
Sure. Yeah, go ahead.
What'd you eat for breakfast today?
Oh, God. I had chicken fingers drenched in hot sauce.
For breakfast?
Yes.
Okay.
Tasted really good. But it's so not healthy. It's like the least healthy thing.
It's okay because it's got chicken, right?
Oh yeah, totally. My body's a temple, you know. Okay. I take a picture of my outfit. It's like today, this is a Burberry silk outfit. I don't know, it's like $3,000, $4,000, something like that. And I always just take a picture for why not, right? And then I was like, oh, well, I'll do a little video of my workout today. So like record the video, I was doing the bench, and then I look at the video and my belly's hanging out. I'm like, God, this looks disgusting. I can't use this. This is terrible. I got to wear black shirts only for this part of the workout. It was pretty funny.
It happens.
Yeah.
Well, I'll let you know what I'm wearing. I don't know what this is, some fancy designer, but I got it for $40 at the thrift store. It was brand new, and these pants are from the thrift store, and mostly everything I wear is from the thrift store. But I do like designer stuff, but I would try to get it used because I'm a mom and we have to save money because that's what mom's doing. My daughter actually drew that little picture of me in the back by Baby Yoda.
That's nice. I grew up all up in the Goodwill, man. Like my family we loved the Goodwill. My grandfather used to dumpster dive and like find.
Really?
Yeah, and then I would get gifts like out of the dumpster. It was weird.
No, it's not weird at all. It's not weird at all. What was your?
In hindsight,
it's not weird.
It's weird.
It's actually very common in LA. I used to actually work in a thrift store out here, and we would get dumpster divers. We would have to lock them up because they would make a big mess. But what was your favorite gift that your grandpa gave you?
Well, I mean, he didn't really give me too much memorable things. Like I can't actually uniquely remember one, you know, like they were unremarkable, and I was quite young at the time. So
okay,
I think one was like white plastic and rolled, and then like as it rolled, little bubbles would pop up. Like it would have a spring, it would pop up things, and like a snow globe, but on a roller. So you like roll it, and then the snow globe's popping up things. I don't know. That's my only memory. Maybe he might have got me a spring rocking horse too. It was like a horse on 4 springs, you know? You just go crazy on it.
Yeah, we used to think that we were going places, but we were really just stagnant.
One time I actually saw a house fire try and start. I had like this plastic bag or plastic like little crate, little milk carton looking thing. and I had a towel in there and some of those things that you put in a pop gun, like a little roll of things that like have gunpowder and they snap. Like, you know, I can't remember what they're called now. And I had a D battery in there, a couple D batteries. That thing fell off the shelf, and the D batteries popped the little pop strip thing, and it caught the towel on fire. And I was like, oh, look at that. This is how house fires start right here. Like this fell down and created fire. Like, and then, you know, now I'm very careful. Like I watch out for, is this going to fall and do something, you know? It's a good lesson to learn really early on in life.
It is. I have one more question before I ask you about Pulse.
Sure.
Actually, two more, but this one. I want your thoughts on what's happening with UST and Terra Luna. Can I ask that? I just did.
It's so easy. Well, I mean, so, God. How much of this should I say?
Give me a 3-minute rant.
Okay. If you have a stable coin and you attempt to back that stable coin with stuff, and you have the option of more valuable stuff or less valuable stuff, more valuable stuff is better. And so what he did, his centralized decision-making, single guy decision, apparently, I don't know. He decided that he would FOMO the top, against my advice, by the way. I told everyone it was a top a year ago. I was right. Everyone else was wrong. My top call's been in profit every single day for over like a year and a month now, except for one day where it made a fake out and then.
Will you be my paid group leader?
No, but you can just copy my stuff for free if you want. So like it, you know, so he buys the top just like Michael Saylor bought the top, just like the NFT guys bought the top. They don't understand that these are market cycles, and I believe in the 85% dip. It happens, and I've been through many of them, and people just don't think they're possible. New paradigm. You're like, yeah, new paradigm? Wrong. You guys, the noobs, bought the top, and who's going to buy after you? So, you know, he takes his stable coins that he had and swaps them for Bitcoin, and then his peg gets attacked by a bunch of people selling the UST for other stuff, and then he has to defend the peg. So he bought it like 48 and sold it like 36. And so now he just has less reserves left. And so you cannot make the backing of a stablecoin stronger by getting wrecked trading. It doesn't make sense.
Okay.
And it's very like, hey guys, the world's richest guy in the world just bought. It's even legal in some countries. We're early. No, you're not early. You're late. You guys are the last to buy. I bought and mined for free at 50 cents. I bought at 30 and then got wrecked and it went down to 2, but I didn't sell, so yay. But like, you know, it's just, they're stupid. Like Michael Saylor said Bitcoin was going to fail in 2013 and hasn't deleted the tweet, just like Online Gaming did. I had huge bags of Bitcoin, and then now he's wrecked. He's almost underwater. His average cost basis, I believe, is 31,000. He was underwater yesterday, underwater with other people's money and underwater with leverage. He took on leverage to get long at 46 or 48. He took on leverage. He encumbered his Bitcoin that he has to get more Bitcoin at a higher price. And now he gets liquidated at 21K. And I think the price will go down to 11K.
Do you think he took out collateralized loans?
Yeah, he bragged about it. He tweeted about it and bragged about it. You know, he took on 200 million of leverage from Silvergate Bank with a Bitcoin collateralized loan. And it's just reflexivity. So now, instead of never having to get liquidated, now you've got a leverage position. And what are the 3 ways smart people go broke? Liquor, ladies, leverage. And I tweeted it underneath all the news articles right when it happened. And then like other people challenge me. So like this guy that has a paid newsletter. Everybody that has a paid newsletter gets wrecked. It's hilarious to me.
My
like
newsletter, Wendy's white paper, is free.
Nice.
My newsletter, Wendy's white paper, is 100% free, and I fund it all. And I let my guys talk about whatever they want to talk about that they're interested in. Yeah. It's doing okay.
So this guy, Raoul Pal, he's like a legacy guy. Apparently he's got a lot of money. He literally tweets 8 months ago, I am irresponsibly long Ethereum. This is the largest position I've ever had in my life. It is 10 times larger than any position I've ever had before. And he thinks the price is going to go up. And I'm like, no, you're going to get wrecked. And I posted it right there. This is how smart men go broke. Liquors, ladies, or leverage. Same post for him. And then we just wait. We wait 8 months. And now The Ethereum price when he did that was 4,800. Now the Ethereum price is 2,200. I was right. He was wrong. And I do this over and over and over and over again for years. And I break these noobs over my knee. I break their spines. There's a trail of dead bodies for people that were wrong. And people like to talk trash. There was only like 2 coins that ever tried to approach Hex's gains ever. SafeMoon and Luna. Wrecked. They're destroyed, and Hex is doing great. If you'd bought Hex instead, if you'd sold Bitcoin the day it called top and bought Hex, you'd still be up tenfold your money right now. Maybe 8-fold. 100% perfect flawless operation. While everyone else cries and get wrecked. So, and that's just Hex. And people, whatever, you don't like Hex, we could talk about Pulse. That's fine. Pulse is the world's largest free airdrop, so they'll like it.
We're gonna talk about all of it, but I like to ask questions.
Oh yeah, so the Luna guy. So basically now what he has, and by the way, the Luna price collapsed like 50% over the last week or more. A centrally managed stablecoin with insufficient reserves, where the guy managing it gets wrecked within 1 week, or like 3 weeks. It's not a recipe for success. You know, and if you look at a stablecoin backed by crypto, like, you know, I'm probably going to release a stablecoin at some point, so I don't want to give away all the tricks. But yeah, he's doing a lot of things wrong.
I was actually going to ask you. I was going to ask you if Hex or PulseChain is planning on doing a stablecoin.
Well, sure. I mean, I attack things by order of value, right? So, you know, what is the most valuable thing in crypto? Layer 1 networks. Okay. What is the most valuable use case in crypto? Value storage. All right, Hex. What's something that's not monetized in crypto that is monetized in legacy markets? Time value of money. Okay, that's Hex. What about trading? All right, we got PulseX for that. What about wallets? We're working on that. I got a full-time guy working on that. I've got about 14 devs now. 2 or 3 of them are still not on ramp because they've got to wait the 30 days with their previous employer. And then like OpenSea replacement, which someone else is already doing in the Pulse community, but if there's still a ton of money in it, it'll probably just do it anyway. I look, I'm like, all right, who's killing it? Let's go do that, because we can do better than all these guys. Like their stuff all sucks. It's always down. You know, they just don't know how to do things right. But
Why do you think their stuff sucks?
Well, it's always down and broken and doesn't work and gets wrecked, and the price is terrible. Luna wrecked, SafeMoon wrecked, Bitcoin wrecked, Ethereum wrecked. You know, Ethereum has been down 95% since Hex has existed. Has it ever been down 95% since it's had a market? No. But Ethereum has.
Ethereum isn't down 90. Well, it's not down 95%.
No, it went from 1400. No, it went from 1400 down to 88. That was a 95% drop. Yeah, but that wasn't that long ago, right? Like, I'm not going to forget it happened.
Well, of course, no, I'm not saying to forget it happened. It's important. It's interesting you're talking about the collateralized loans. I personally feel like collateralized loans are the reason why we've seen why we've seen Bitcoin do so well. I was actually considering on taking a collateralized loans out to help avoid taxes or to help decrease them a little bit. But I actually found my notebook when I sat down with the company I was going to take one with, and they were kind of pushing it, which was fine. But I've got a little bit of street smarts. It was back at the peak, May of 2021, when we were at like 65,000 or whatever it was. Mm-hmm. And I says, I'm not going to do this because then I'm going to end up getting liquidated. And sure enough, I'm glad that I did. Yeah, I'm glad that I didn't. The only way I would take out a collateralized loan is when we're down like 50 to 70%. I would feel comfortable then. Your
risk would be a lot lower at that point. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, and this is the other thing that's so funny to me. I see all these people posting like, how did you know it was the top? What was your top sign? And then it's like me calling the top and drawing the chart for you and telling it to you. That was the actual top sign. Me. I did it last cycle too. I did it in 2017 as well. I was the top indicator. And then people are like posting like, Jimmy Fallon put like a ape picture as his profile pic, or like, like they're more funny, I guess, than me just actually calling the top and sticking with it the whole time. Like,
do you own any NFTs?
Nope, not a single one. But I'm going to make a NFT. I own the world's largest diamond, so I'm going to make an NFT out of that, because if people want to buy JPEGs for exorbitant prices, go ahead. But like, I don't believe in overpaying for intellectual property that you don't actually own. Doesn't make sense to me.
What happens if it was an artist? What happens if my 5-year-old said, Mr. Hart, would you buy a part of one of my songs as an NFT?
I mean, your 5-year-old probably makes crap songs, so definitely not. I'd rather buy the Wu-Tang album.
Excuse me, sir.
It's $2 million.
My daughter, my 5-year-old daughter, is obsessed with outlaw country. She can sing you Waylon Jennings, Willie Nelson, Emmylou Harris, Marty Robbins, and she plays 6-string too.
When I look at you, I didn't think country. I thought
outlaw
like
country.
death metal.
Well, we do death metal too, but we do Misfits and all that stuff. But my daughter is very adamant about outlaw country. She will tell you pop country sucks.
I'm willing to receive her MP3 to evaluate its value.
Okay,
but like,
that's fine.
How many? If there was a guy that bought Jack, the guy who founded Twitter, his like first tweet NFT, he paid like 2.2 million or something. He tried to sell it. He got 10 grand.
That's because it's Jack.
Well, I'm just saying. He's down 2.2 million on his 2.2 million. He got wrecked.
Well, that was
the only
something
story.
That was ridiculous.
No, but they're all going to do that. They're in the bear market. The things that go to zero first are the Ponzi's, and the next thing are the NFTs.
I don't know. I disagree with you on that one.
Were you here for CryptoKitties?
Huh?
Were you here for CryptoKitties? Yeah.
I wasn't well versed enough to get it, but
what changed? It's the same crap, except instead of cats, it's monkeys. It's the same crap. Well,
yes and no, but
you can't even breed the monkeys.
Have you heard the story about the Ramones?
Cats.
Have you heard the story about the Ramones?
No.
Would you like to know?
Are they still alive?
Some of them. I think one of them was. Okay. So, a very good friend of mine was actually very good friends with them. They played music together. They lived in the same apartment building on Franklin. The Ramones sold their merchandising rights back in the 70s or 80s for like $100,000. So any Ramones shirt that you see, none of their friends or family, anybody associated with them gets it because they were all, party animals and whatnot. So I personally believe that NFTs could have changed that scenario. And instead of selling your entire merchandising rights, you could have sold part of it and then had the smart contracts drawn up for royalties and et cetera. So I always tell that story because it's super important because everybody sees Ramon shirts everywhere. And half the people wearing them have no idea who they are.
I think NFTs are awesome if you don't pay for them. Like if you're making NFTs and selling them to people, congrats. But if you're buying NFTs and you're overpaying, like like when you get a hat in Team Fortress 2 and you pay for it, you got exactly what you were paying for, and you don't try and sell it for $1 billion later. It's just all pseudo gambling. Like
not necessarily. You just said your grandpa was a dumpster diver. Did he used to resell the stuff that he got?
I think so. I guess. Okay. Actually, I don't know that part, but I would assume so.
Same concept.
Yeah, except you can't get wrecked dumpster diving. Like it's very hard to overpay diving into the trash can. It's free. As long as we understand that we are comparing NFT activity to dumpster diving, I'm fine with the conversation. It's okay framing for me.
Okay, so guess what? The way I was able to pay for community college, the way I put myself through community college is I was able to go thrift store shopping and I would buy used designer goods and then I would resell them on eBay.
Nice.
And to me, that's a similar mentality with some of these NFTs. That is, you wait for them to drop and then you resell them on the secondary market, et cetera. Some of them could be rare vintage things that may be worth value later on. But I just see a lot of different use cases for artists and creators with NFTs.
I agree with that. But just remember,
I love music men.
The number of artists that will be helped out by NFTs is probably like 100 or 200 total, since it's like inception for years. And the number of people that will get wrecked buying the top is like 100 or 200,000. And so as far as like helping the humans, the amount of horror created by pretending that serial numbers loosely related to JPEGs that may or may not still even be hosted on the internet because they don't even upload them to the stupid blockchain most of the time. It just wrecks the humans. Like it's not, and then they're out of crypto for good and they don't participate anymore. Whereas if you have a product with a durable product market fit that continues to provide a service like on-chain exchange, trading, removing counterparty risk, that's always going to be massively valuable. Monetizing time value money, always going to be valuable. Replacing the fiat currencies that everyone's being robbed by constantly, always have value. These are things that have durability, but games, people will always get bored of. They will always get bored of them. And so
leave my Sonic the Hedgehog and Mortal Kombat alone.
I love Mortal Kombat, but I have to tell you, I haven't played it in probably 15 or 20 years. At least my favorite one, the first one.
You should. Who's your favorite character?
I would play a lot of Sub-Zero because you could get people in a pretty good loop with it. But Johnny Cage punching people in the balls over and over again was pretty great too.
Sub-Zero, I'm very attracted to Sub-Zero and Scorpion.
They have a very similar mask. I like their mask a lot. I actually have a face mask that's very similar to that for just like getting into places in lockdown. It's nice. It's a Balmain face mask that looks so awesome. It looks like the Sub-Zero one, but it's got Balmain monogram on it.
Okay. All right, let's get started with some of the why the people are here. So
Sure.
Just really quickly, tell everybody in like 2 minutes, tell everybody what HEX is.
Sure.
Because there's a big issue. People call HEX a scam. Personally, you guys, I don't care what you invest in. If you guys want to invest in HEX, great. If you want to invest in coin XB123, I don't care. I support everybody's right to choose to invest their money wherever they want to put it. I don't care. I am just here chatting with somebody about their particular project because this is how I learn the best. And if I have an opportunity to sit down with somebody and learn, why wouldn't I?
So, HEX quite simply is Bitcoin with a proof of work change. So Bitcoin pays you to destroy the environment. It only rewards you for doing SHA-256 mining, which is extremely energy intensive on purpose. Instead of calling it proof of work, you could call it proof of waste, because if it wasn't wasteful and it was useful, then you could like reduce the cost of an attack by selling the utility. But since it's totally wasteful, you can't sell the utility, so it makes the attacks more expensive. I'm not going to go into the game theory of it, but like, that's why you see a lot more attacks with botnets, because there's side utility to having CPUs, and then you can just rotate what you attack because you already have a botnet you can make money with in normal life. But with SHA-256 mining, you can't do anything else with your SHA-256 miners. So if you're going to buy them, they can only be used for Bitcoin. And then since you've invested so much in the hardware, why destroy the network, which is the only thing that gives those things utility, which is why you don't see 51% attacks in Bitcoin anyway. So I guess I did go into it. So with HEX, we just replaced paying people to destroy the environment. So Bitcoin pays you inflation. People think Bitcoin's deflationary. It's not. It inflates. That's how it went from no coins in 2009. There were 0 coins, and now there's 19 million coins. That's how it happened, by inflating it. I've inflated it myself, full blocks on my own, no pool. 50 Bitcoin block rewards at the time. So in HEX, we reward people to store energy in the system, which causes positive price pressure. So in Bitcoin, miners are paid to dump the price to enrich mining hardware companies and electricity companies. And it's how the security model works. They don't have a choice. In HEX, we piggybacked an existing network already eating that horror, which is the Ethereum network. They already get their price dumped by miners the same way Bitcoin miners do. They already harm the environment just like Bitcoin miners do. But since they were already doing all that, we can pack our transactions on top of the Ethereum network for what used to be pennies and get all of the same protection against 51% attacks and things, and get interoperability with online exchanges or on-chain exchanges, and just all types of great stuff came with it. And we don't have the negative price pressure of having to sell down the price constantly to pay for electricity. And
is that because it's locked up?
No, it's just because we don't have miners. There's no miners to pay. So we don't have to pay for network security because Ethereum's already paying for it. So the Ethereum network's already secure. It's free for us to piggyback on top of it. We don't have to pay our own block rewards. So instead of having that negative externality of environmental destruction and enriching weird companies in the middle of nowhere that you've never heard of before, like Bitmain, we just pay that inflation directly to stakers and enrich those guys. And because there's no negative externalities, the inflation in our system, which is lower than Bitcoin's ever was when it went up to 20K. So Bitcoin's at 20K, the first time the inflation rate was 3.89%. It used to be many folds higher because it had already cut in half twice. So in our system, we start at 3.69%, and you only get paid at the end of your stake. And since the average stake is 6.5 years long, this inflation is extremely delayed in the future, extremely low. And since there's no negative externalities, you see people just restaking it. I mean, the amount of people that just have $100 million and just restake it is very high. So people treat it like a real store of value. They peel off what they want to be rich, and then they just keep getting richer. And that's where they're storing their energy. At least that's what it looks like. So it's just Bitcoin with proof of work change. Instead of using Bitcoin miners, we use Ethereum miners. And instead of inflating to destroy the environment, we inflate to protect the price by rewarding people that delay gratification longer. That's it.
Isn't that system kind of like, wouldn't somebody call that a Ponzi?
Well, they would call everything a Ponzi, but they're inaccurate, right? So like, human life is a Ponzi. When you get old and you can't take care of yourself anymore, you have offspring that's going to take care of you. Well, what if you don't have anyone to take care of you? Okay, the stock market only goes up if the next guy buys. The value.
Well, we all know that the stock market is a regulated Ponzi, 100%.
Well, it's like everything. This concept that's the price of stuff goes up when people buy it is like, yes, that's how supply and demand works. Yes.
Correct.
And then if people stop having demand, the price goes to zero. Like 8-track tapes, they're not worth anything now, you know? And so this idea, the thing that people have to understand is that creating things that appreciate in value is the core of what business is. Business, by definition, is creating a system to accrue value for shareholders. Period. And a well-designed cryptocurrency is a system which accrues value for the people that own parts of it. They're very similar in that way. There's just decentralization. So the Howey Test controls what is and isn't a security, and it states quite simply that a security is when people put money into a common pool with the expectation of profit solely from the work of others. And so as a Bitcoin miner, who's giving you your Bitcoin? You're giving them to yourself. You are creating them yourself out of thin air. The fruit of your own labor is creating Bitcoin out of thin air, which is why Bitcoin is not a security. Okay, in HEX, who gives you your HEX? You give you your HEX. Does anyone else give you your HEX? Nope. You're the only person in the entire world that can mint your HEX, just like a Bitcoin miner. Except instead of destroying the environment, you're locking up your coins.
I disagree with that because I think first off, I think the Howey Test is stupid and I think it's outdated because we're talking about something that is a little bit, we're talking about laws from 1933 or 1930s where we didn't have fax machines, computers, and all of that type of stuff.
I don't think we have fax machines anymore either.
Well,
we're old.
In healthcare, you have to use
I know.
them.
Yeah, I know. Some lawyer crap too, but sure. Most people don't. Yeah.
But what I'm saying is that we're talking about Bitcoin, like we're talking about Bitcoin miners, they're looking to make a profit because they're essentially facilitating that transaction for somebody that wants to send it. And kind of the same with HEX, but a little bit differently from the way that you explain it, is that you're locking it up. And if you want to pull some out when that period ends.
But you don't have to lock it. The price went up 1,000,000% without locking it. Did you need to lock it? The price went up 1,000,000%.
I thought you didn't have to lock it.
No. The vast majority of coins are not locked, which is why the payouts for locking are so high. Only 10% of coins are locked, which is why you can get, or currently the stakers are making an average of around 40%. Now, as a new guy coming in, you're going to get less because they got better share prices because the share price only goes up over time to simulate compounding interest. Up over time in HEX terms. It moves around based on the USD price. So when the price of something goes up 1,000,000%, do you really care about your extra 40%? It's nice. It's awesome, but you don't need it. It's the minority of the gains. So basically, if you took Bitcoin Network and replaced the Bitcoin miners with Ethereum miners and then told them instead of doing SHA-256, you're going to lock up coins to get inflation, that's it. That's all. That's it. It's a proof of work change. We use proof of weight instead of proof of work.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Now, let's talk about PulseChain. What the hell is PulseChain?
Why? That's awesome.
Actually, I want to know why. What is PulseChain? And then I want to know why you have HEX and now there's PulseChain.
Sure.
Is there a need for two projects?
Oh God, yes. They all amplify each other. Every one of my projects amplifies the other projects.
Educate me, enlighten me.
Sure. So, do you wish gas fees on Ethereum were cheaper?
Yes, that's why I use layer 2 solutions at times.
There you go. So the only way to reduce the price of a thing is to increase its supply or reduce its demand. That's it. Period. Finito. Well, Ethereum has been talking about increasing their supply for a really long time. With sharding, it's about 8 years late or 6 years late, or some number of very years late. So they're going to do ETH 2.0. You want to know a funny secret people don't know about ETH 2.0?
I think that ETH 2.0 is one of the biggest jokes in the space because they keep moving the date. I get that technology takes a while to perfect, but at the same time, it's like you've got so much effing money that you've raised from the sale or whatever the heck you were doing. Why are we taking so long to do this?
Well, it's a tragedy. Well, so basically...
Tell me the secret.
Well, the secret is that Ethereum 2.0, this merge that they say is going to be occurring, doesn't increase the capacity of the network at all, and therefore doesn't give you cheaper transactions at all. So eventually, one day, maybe they hope to get sharding into Ethereum 2.0, and then maybe that day, maybe if it ever happens, you might get cheaper gas fees. And so what I'm doing is I'm adding capacity now so that gas fees can come down now. So PulseChain is so awesome. It's so miraculous.
Is it your baby?
It is just a miracle that someone didn't already do it. It's a miracle that someone left this opportunity for me to do. So we've got people, somebody just minted NFTs like last week. They paid $100 million in gas fees. That's $100 million that could have stayed in their community and pumped price. But instead, it's going to miners, and what are they going to do it? Blow up the environment. Good job, guys, you idiots. Like, PulseChain solves this. So we don't have proof of work. We use proof of stake, which, by the way, is what Ethereum 2.0 is trying to get to, but we're going to beat them to market with it. I mean, we're very close. We're very close to launching. Testnet's been running good for months. So we remove the negative price pressure of miners dumping to pay for electricity, remove the environmental harm. Instead of paying miners a block reward, we pay validators 75% of the fees, and the other 25% get burnt. So it's deflationary. There's no inflation to pay validators. They only get 75% of the fees. The other 25% gets burnt. And so the more transactions that happen, the more positive price pressure you get because you're reducing supply. You're just burning 25% of all the fees. Now you get higher throughput, which also, so the transactions are 3-second blocks instead of 13-second blocks. So you've got 4 times the throughput just for block times, but you can also have higher gas limits as well because you've got less validators and they don't have to coordinate over so many nodes. And you have stronger nodes on average because there's less nodes, et cetera. So you've got higher throughput, lower fees, world's largest free airdrop. When Ethereum 2.0 comes out, you're not going to get any free coins. But when PulseChain comes out, you're going to get a copy of all of your coins that you have on Ethereum network on the Pulse network for free. You don't have to do anything. You click one button, your MetaMask pops up, says you want to change networks. You click yes, you're on the new network. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to sign up. You don't have to do anything. Everything just works. You might have to add an ERC20, like paste the address in there. And we've even got a tool that helps you do that. So what else is awesome about it? Now we've reduced the load on the Ethereum network, and you don't have to use bridges. So let's talk about bridges. $600 million was lost to the Axie Infinity hack bridge. Mm-hmm. $300 million was lost to the Solana wormhole bridge hack. $6 billion was at risk in the Polygon bridge, but they caught it before anyone used it. There's like roughly $1 billion, let's say, of money lost to bridge attacks. In our system, you don't have to use the bridge because you already have your coins on the other side because you already got them for free. Now, if you want to bridge over, you can, but you don't have to. It's a superior design system. And let's say another thing about Ethereum 2.0 that's trying to do proof of stake, but they're doing it improperly. They're rewarding centralization. They're rewarding you giving your keys to someone else. $100 million of Ethereum users gave their keys to some company, Fireblocks. Fireblocks lost the keys. They lost $100 million of people's money that were supposed to be staking for Ethereum 2.0 because in Ethereum 2.0, there's no delegation. You have to have 32 ETH to become a validator, and you have to run your own server hardware. And if your server's ever offline, you lose money. Oops. Hope you like being a system admin. And so what does everyone do? They give their ETH to someone else. And what does that person do? They lose the keys or they steal the money. And so Ethereum
it's not decentralization. It's not
the opposite
decentralization at all.
In our system, it's delegated. You don't have to give your keys to anyone. You just delegate. And then if you don't like who you delegate it to, you change it to somebody else. You hold your keys. Nobody else. It's perfect.
I have a question for you. So what if Ethereum dies? What happens to HEX?
Oh, it goes to
what
zero.
Happens to PulseChain?
It all goes to zero. Well, I mean, actually, it doesn't all go to zero because PulseChain. I mean, what if someone shot me in the head during a live stream? I'd be dead. These questions are very stupid. But I'll try and answer them seriously anyway. If Ethereum died, PulseChain would probably be even more valuable.
Well, the reason why I ask these questions, hold on a second.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why I ask these questions is because I'm not the most tech savvy person in the world.
Oh, sure.
And a lot of my audience is not the most tech savvy people.
Yep.
And most people in the world are not tech savvy. So it's important for me to ask sometimes to break these complex ideas down in a very, very simple to understand way so people can come back and they can say, okay, this makes sense to me now. So that's why I ask these types of questions. That's why
if the Ethereum network goes down, then you can enjoy your coins on the PulseChain network. If the Ethereum network and the PulseChain network goes down, go make them work again. I mean, failures in blockchain projects are often just pauses. So you very rarely see everyone just lose all their money, their coins. You'll see people lose the US dollar value of their coins. That happens a lot, but you will not see people just like lose their coins usually.
Okay.
For you to like lose your coins and for the network to stay down forever, you basically just need to get hacked and lose your keys, or fall for someone telling you that they're an admin and you need to give them your keys or whatever, your recovery seed words. And if you give them your recovery words, your recovery phrase, then yes, you're going to lose all your money. But other than that, like nobody just loses their coins. It never happens. Like it's extremely rare. I mean, very rare.
Well, unless somebody rug pulls.
Well, that's what I mean. You lose the US dollar value of your coins. That's very common, but you'll still have the stupid worthless coins. So you'll still have coins. They're just not worth any real money. So rug pulls are very common, sure. Yeah. Which is why I don't promote anything but stuff I built for the most part.
So is is PulseChain essentially a layer 2 solution for
Nope.
Ethereum?
No, it's a full-on copy of Ethereum. We're beating Ethereum 2.0 to market with their own feature set, except better. So,
but it's built on top of Ethereum.
Nope. Layer 1.
Okay.
HEX is built on top of Ethereum.
So is it its own blockchain?
Exactly. It is its own blockchain.
And I can use MetaMask with PulseChain
Yes.
if I did decide to invest.
Absolutely. Yep. But you don't have to do anything. It doesn't matter. Like, just when the mainnet comes live, which hopefully 14 days, then it might be less. I don't know. It depends. It's software. It's hard. You just use it. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to sign up. You don't, like, it just works. You click one button, you click yes in MetaMask, it switches you over to the PulseChain network. You add your ERC20s, trade if you want. Also, we have an exchange called PulseX, and it's similar to Uniswap, except the fees are lower. So instead of 0.3%, you pay 0.29, and it burns 22% of the fees and it buy and burns up the PulseX token for 22% of the fees, 21.7, I believe. So, these new tokens I'm designing are purely deflationary, no inflation. It's awesome, And unlike the Uni token, where the Uni token from Uniswap literally has no connection to the trading whatsoever. None. You trade has nothing to do with the Uni token. In this system, when you trade, the PulseX token receives buy and burn pressure from that. So it's a more honest, more direct, it's just better. So PulseX is better than Uniswap, and PulseChain is better than Ethereum.
I feel like Uniswap, their token was for their liquidity pools on the platform, but realistically, you really didn't need it because you can get liquidity from the community and you can lock up some of your coins for liquidity and do all of that other stuff.
Well, I can tell you that story. It's an interesting story, actually.
Let's hear it.
Uniswap was vampire attacked by a project called Sushiswap. And so what Sushi did was they said, you know what, if you move over your LP tokens from Uni and you put them in, if you move your liquidity from Uni into Sushi instead, you're gonna make fees, but you're also gonna make this extra token. And that was the vampire attack, is you give people an extra token to get them to do something that they were already doing anyway, but somewhere else. And the funny part is that behavior kind of looks similar to what we're doing to the whole Ethereum network. You want lower fees, you want higher throughput, you want the same ticker symbols. We got all that right here. Click a button. And here's this exchange PulseX, which has an incentive token to reward you for providing liquidity between your ERC20 or your Ethereum and your PRC20 or your Pulse. And now you can make fees when people trade between these two networks. So if you've got, let's say, Link or SHIB or HEX or something on the Ethereum network, you can bridge that into the PulseChain network, pair it with your free coins that you got copied, and you're likely, I mean, who knows what will happen in the beginning? Prices will probably move around a lot, but over time, I think that you'll see that maybe they find like a kind of common ratio of Ethereum ERC20 to PRC20 value, and that reduces your liquidity loss, your impermanent loss as a liquidity provider. Because like if you just tie two things that really just stay the same value against each other, you're just making fees with no impermanent loss. But if the price moves a lot, you don't like that as an LP because you sold the thing that went up and bought the thing that went down, basically. So, and you're hoping the price comes back down so that you're left with profit. So, it's basically the world's largest free airdrop. Now, look, even if I didn't let all these other coins get a free ride, which I did, I didn't have to include all the other ERC20s in the world, but I gave them a free ride.
Points.
Yeah, I gave them a free ride out of the kindness of my heart. I could have just let this be for hexagons. This could have been a hex-only network. And it would have saved hexagons from paying all these stupid gas fees, which are exorbitant. I mean, There are coins on Ethereum that can no longer function because the prices are too expensive. We are here to save those guys. We're here to reduce Ethereum's fees, save the users, re-enable use cases that have been disabled, reduce centralization by giving people delegated proof of stake instead of centralized, which is what Ethereum's doing. Like, reduce harm to the environment. It's just so good on so many layers, and there's no inflation. It's deflationary only. It's like amazing. So PulseChain is absolutely fabulous.
Question. So let's say that there's a dying project on Ethereum, an ERC20 DeFi project from 2020. Because let's face it, most of those projects went bye-bye.
Sure.
And we call that actually on my channel. I told my audience, and I tell my audience all the time, create a moon bag. If you don't know what a moon bag is, it's when your number goes up, you remove initial investment and you remove profit. You can stake and farm, do whatever the hell you want with the rest. But we talk about that a lot, risk management on the show. I think it's important.
In poker, they call it playing with house money.
It's the same thing, but it's just a cute way to say it.
Sure. All right.
Thank you. So basically a project can say, oh my God, I'm a DeFi summer of 2020 project. I'm dying. Richard Hart, please save me. So they can basically go ahead and use PulseChain instead and leave Ethereum behind and be saved.
Well, you're going to have a lot less fees. I mean, right now, yesterday it was $30 to do a Uniswap swap. That sucks. To have a $30 penalty to on-ramp a user to your project sucks. What if they only want to put in 20? So now it costs them 50 and they only get, if they want to put in 20, they got to put in 50, and then out of their 50, they're only left with 20 because you paid 30 to Uniswap. It sucks. The fees are too high. And Ethereum used to talk about how the fees are too high in Bitcoin all the time. And now the fees on Ethereum are higher than the fees on Bitcoin. And You're like, well, man, and it's just supply and demand. It's because Ethereum's a more useful network. It has more demand. I think it has more users as well. If you want more supply, I'm building the more supply. When you go to your gas station, you know what they do when the gas station's filled up? They build another gas station. They don't wait 10 years to build new gas station technology. No, they just horizontally scale, build more gas stations, build more restaurants. It works great. Works fabulous. That's what I'm doing.
No. Well, I've got lots of questions. What's the minimum requirement to stake and start earning PulseChain? And the ticker for that is PLS, correct?
Yeah, there's no minimum. Okay. And you got to choose where you're going to stake. You can stake natively in the network by delegating to somebody else. You become a validator, but there's only 33 slots, and you have to run a server. So that sucks as a job for most people. You can stake in the pools in PLSX. So you could stake Pulse versus Bridged in Ethereum, which would be EETH. You could stake, anything versus anything else and get rewarded with a percentage of the fees plus an extra incentive token, depending on what pair you're on. It's going to be interesting to see where people choose to actually stake their stuff because there's so many options. And right now you can see this. So like if you go onto if you go to pulsechain.com and you click some of the links right there at the top, you can see what coins people are staking on now in the testnet. You can see what prices the coins have in the testnet. There's a lot of really interesting data going on there. And there's actually a ton of transactions. Like people are using the testnet a lot.
That's a good sign.
Yeah. It's crazy. I've never seen a testnet so busy, to tell the truth. I don't think there is a testnet more busy.
Users, or how many transactions right now?
Oh God, there's like millions of transactions. I don't know exactly how many users. I never looked that up, but there's an unreasonable amount of transactions.
How many TPS?
You get 4 times more than Ethereum just from the block speed increase from 3 seconds. 3 seconds from 13 seconds. And then I'm not sure where the gas is going to land on mainnet launch, but it's you're at like 4 to 20x what Ethereum is.
Okay.
It'll probably be around BSC levels would be my guess.
Do you like BSC?
No, they've got problems.
What makes PulseChain secure?
Well, it's mostly Ethereum code. And the Ethereum code, people have lost so much money on it that they already know where the bugs were, and now it's pretty safe. So,
but when Ethereum merges over to proof of stake, because it's currently proof of work, well, first off, do you believe that proof of work is more secure than proof of stake?
No, I don't, which is why you see proof of work networks have more problems than proof of stake networks. Okay. It's that easy. The only proof of work network that doesn't have huge problems is kind of like the really gigantic ones. All the smaller ones have huge problems because they get attacked with rented hash from NiceHash.
What about when Ethereum merges over to proof of stake? Will HEX or will PulseChain still be secure?
Well, they're totally unrelated. So if Ethereum just went offline, well, HEX will be affected. The original hex on the Ethereum network will be affected by anything that improves or screws up the Ethereum network. The hex that is copied for free onto the PulseChain network, along with all of the other ERC20s of the world, it is totally unaffected by anything that happens on the Ethereum network. Totally irrelevant. Ethereum and Bitcoin and all of the other cryptocurrencies of the world can be turned off. It will have no effect on PulseChain.
But if you're built on top of something, yes.
PulseChain is totally unrelated to Ethereum at all. It uses the same code base. So it's like if Bitcoin Cash goes down, how does that affect Bitcoin? Doesn't. They're different networks. This is the same thing. Like if the difference is that Bitcoin Cash didn't add any actual features that anyone cared about to Bitcoin. So the other problem is that they gave away too many free coins. In PulseChain, the Ethereum guys do not get a free ride. The ERC20 guys get a free ride, but the Ethereum guys are getting diluted by 1.2 million X. So the supply of Pulse is inflated by 1.2 million fold. And all of that supply was given to people that sacrificed to support freedom of speech or donated money to the SENS Foundation for medical research. And there's $27 million raised for medical research through that, by the way. Best guy in crypto, right here. Raised $27 million for charity.
What kind of
research? They research everything. So they do Alzheimer's, cancer, basically everything that sucks as you get older. Okay. So, and it all sucks. Like everything's going to kill you eventually. Like the rate at which
my knees hurt.
There you go.
My wrists hurt. I'm old.
Yeah, it sucks. Getting old sucks. So, what was the question?
The question
the supply. So the Bitcoin Cash guys gave 180,000 free Bitcoin Cash to the Mt. Gox trustee that can only sell by law. Can't buy, can only sell. And so he dumped it he dumped 40,000 Bitcoin Cash, 40,000 Bitcoin, might even be 47,000, and murdered those prices in 2018. And how was that good for anybody? It wasn't good for anybody. Maybe it was good for the Mt. Gox trustee and the people that he owes money to, which are the creditors to the Mt. Gox company. But like, it wasn't good for the price. And so I just designed superior systems. In our system, the Ethereum guys aren't going to be able to dump on us because Vitalik, who has 300,000 Ethereum, is getting basically $30 worth of Ethereum sacrifice. So if Vitalik had like sacrificed $30 on day one for PulseChain, he would have got like a double size stack in addition to his like 300,000 Ethereum or whatever, which is worth like $1 billion at the top.
But you have to do it for each address, each Ethereum address you have, correct?
No, I don't know what you mean.
Okay, so I have probably like 100 different MetaMask Ethereum-based addresses with different coins on each one because for OPSEC and stuff like that.
Smart.
So if I want to go ahead and register for for PulseChain, wouldn't I have to use every single address to get my coins duplicated on?
Well, no, it's all free. It's all instant. You don't have to do anything. They already exist there, whether you know about it or not.
On every single address.
Yes, that's right. The entire network system state gets copied over. Every single thing you had there, you'll have here. And your keys that work there will work here. So you don't have to do anything. If you want to come and participate, if you want to if you get some free ERC20s or PRC20s and you want to sell them, well, probably you'll want to go on your MetaMask, go to pulsechain.com, click switch networks. It's going to bring you over to the new network and, do what you want. Sell, buy, stake. You could million options. And yes, you would have to do that for every address you wanted your addresses to be separate. So you made it more labor by design. And then yes, you would have to do the same laborious isolation that you wanted, you also get on this side. So whatever work you had to do over there, you have to do over here because it's an identical copy of system state.
What about NFTs?
Everything.
So
now here's the interesting question.
Apes, do they get copy pasted on PulseChain?
It depends on what you think your ape is. If your ape is what was on the Ethereum chain, then yes. If your ape is what somebody else's server says, I don't know, because we're not copying their server. We're copying the chain.
That's going to be very, very interesting to see how those NFTs get merged over.
If you bought someone's NFT on the Ethereum network, I would suggest that you ask for the PulseChain copy as well, because it would suck to see them sell that same thing to two different people.
Well, you can't just kind of ask somebody that's anonymous.
Yeah, well, maybe they need to add another drop-down box on their centralized sales server over at OpenSea there, you know, like, because it's real. Like if I were to buy an NFT, I would want that on both chains. I wouldn't want to see the guy that sold it to me then go sell the other one to somebody else. And now I've got to be like, well, which one of them is more valuable, you know?
Right. Well, what about, so that, because I had somebody give me some topics to ask you, and I went over and added more, but they mentioned something about the PulseChain sacrifice. Is that basically somebody taking a little bit of their money that they have on Ethereum and buying some PulseChain so that they can go ahead and get the airdrop?
Well, you can't buy it because it doesn't exist. So,
or HEX.
So what I did was, so let's take PulseChain, right? If you were to go to the Sens Foundation and say, hey, I want to donate to you guys, and they would go, okay, you know, what's your name? What's your address? All right, here's an address to send to, and then you send to that address. Then they'd create a spreadsheet, and those people are going to get free PulseChain coins. If you're a normal PRC20 user, you're going to get all your free copies. If you're a normal Ethereum user, you're going to get all your free copies. And then of this special select group of people that either sent their money to an address to support free speech or sent their money to the Sens Foundation to support medical research, those people are the only people that get the free PulseChain. I guess there's 1% to an address you can't have an expectation of, but 99% goes to the people that sacrificed. And so, I mean, it raised billions of dollars. You know, if you looked at the combined total of the PulseChain sacrifice and PulseX sacrifice, at some point there was like 660 million of stablecoins sitting there. It's a lot of participation, you know, 130,000 unique addresses.
What happens if somebody has, let's say somebody has a bunch of stable coins on a centralized exchange earning passive income, but they want to go ahead and, you know, do the copy pasta with the...
You got to have them in your own wallet. You got to have it in your own wallet. Yeah, you're just making an exchange rich. Exchange is going to get that copy, not you. And usually they won't give it to you. They're just going to screw you out of it.
Of course they're not going to give it to you. As I remember, oh my God, what was it? There was... Oh, it was, remember back in 2017 when they were doing all those crazy airdrops, like when they had Neo
a lot of
and gas
Bitcoin,
and
everything.
Stuff like that.
Yep.
So you would, if your stuff was on an exchange, you weren't given access. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, they just keep it.
You keep talking about free speech. Can you explain what you mean by that? Because is that a tech thing? Is that, are you referring to real free speech? Or what do you what are you referring to?
We are at all-time high levels of censorship. You will have your account removed from social media by an AI bot. I've been banned off of YouTube 4 or 5 times now. I've been banned off Instagram once, but that was hackers. I've been banned off Facebook just because I didn't want to send them my ID. I've been banned from like almost every forum I participate in because I flex too hard. People hate it. So like, oh, by the way, I've got a big flex coming soon. Big one. If you thought the world's biggest diamond and best performing asset, 10,000x in 2 years, and I even have my PP size on my video description here. I won't say it in case kids are watching your side.
Well, you want to know what I think the biggest flex is?
Tell me. 27 million charity?
Yeah, as a man that's actively giving to charities that support mental health for children and support DVSA survivors. That's the biggest flex.
Mental health's a big deal. I know a lot of crazy people, and it's no fun.
Yeah.
It's no fun. Like, you know, I would almost rather be dead than just straight up lose my mind. Like, depends on the level of psychosis, I guess. Yes, that's the end game. Like healing human beings is the end game. I also give away free self-help books. And I've been doing that since before anyone knew I was in crypto. I also do self-help videos. Like, I am the giving tree of crypto. I call the top of the day for free. When you get over the hubris and the bragging, because bragging is all that people appear to respond to, if being humble worked better, oh my God, I would be humble. Like, but it doesn't. So I have to come out here and dress like a clown constantly. I'm wearing 2 watches. This one's 750,000. This one's 600,000. Why? So people like me more. Fine. That's what you guys want. That's what you get. Or if you're not going to like me, hate me, and at least actively hate me so the AI sees the engagement and shows my stuff to more people. Because the AI doesn't care whether you give positive or negative engagement. It just sees engagement. So back to free speech. With free speech, it is not fair that there are words I can't say on the stream or the stream will get yanked. That's not fair. And so, you know, if people are willing to sacrifice their money to show that they support that belief, that speech is a protected human right and that blockchains are speech, and so they should be protected as well. And blockchains are under attack.
I agree with
the
you.
EU just passed a law that harms blockchains. It's not good. So now with freedom of movement, something happened which made it so that you weren't allowed to go where you wanted to go anymore or see who you wanted to see anymore. And that sounds a lot like imprisonment to me. That sounds a lot like kidnapping to me. This sounds like something that isn't okay. So, I'm rewarding people that have political beliefs that align with my own. And as time goes on, we have other things on the roadmap like nation state. I think you can make a better nation. It's going to be god awful hard. So maybe the time frame is like 5 or 6 years from now, but why not? Why not carve out a special economic zone? That's how Shenzhen started. That's how Hong Kong started. Get a special economic zone somewhere and bang it out, do something miraculous there. So that's on the roadmap too. But stablecoin and wallet and OpenSea replacement, things like that will come before that, just because they're easier, quicker, probably even more profitable, to tell you the truth.
When you're talking about starting your own nation, how would that look like? Now I'm curious about that.
Well, your options are, you can try and do a physical thing. There was a good Netflix documentary on this Indian dude who started a religion, moved out into the middle of nowhere, and then got into an argument with the locals there, and then eventually it went real sideways. So like they imported a bunch of homeless people to try and win an election, and then they didn't realize that homeless people are extremely hard to help because they're mentally ill, usually. And then they tried to like drug them against their own knowledge to like make them more chill. And like it all went extremely sideways for these guys in the 70s. And then so you would have to, there are historic records of people making it work. So we've got there's a little Italy in New York, there's a little Puerto Rico, there's a lot of things. Miami, there's places where you can just talk Spanish and that's it. There is no English. There's just Spanish. So in America, we do have pockets of successful cultures operating. And then the question is, how do you extract yourself from the parts of the nation that you don't like? Maybe you don't like supporting the military-industrial complex. Maybe you don't like supporting some of these encumbrances on freedom of speech and freedom of movement. Well, then you need to control your physical location. And there's limited options to do that. The easiest one is a special economic area, like the free zones and like Cologne, Panama, or Shenzhen in China, or Hong Kong, and then you get,
Barbados.
I'm not sure if Barbados has a free port or not. Maybe. But you have to negotiate with someone that has the land and to say, look, we're going to have different rules on this land. And you're going to sign off on that. And then you make a go of it, And usually it's easy to attract people into these types of arrangements because of tax advantages. People are very sensitive to tax, particularly companies. So your other option is seasteading, where you just try and get a bunch of boats together, and it's a lot harder to do. So you get a bunch of boats together. All right, well, where are you going to get your supplies? You want steak? All right, well, the steak is made on land. That's where the cows are. So how does the steak get to you? Another boat brings it to you from land. Like it just gets, I haven't seen any successful even attempts at seasteading. I have seen lots of special economic areas do well. So I would probably attack it from a special economic area perspective. But look, this is 4 or 5 years out. Like PulseChain will likely have a million plus happy users long before, I don't think people understand the hurricane that's coming for them. Imagine that you can now trade the same tickers, the same code on a faster, cheaper network for free. We've seen airdrops be wildly successful to tiny little pockets of the population. Uniswap was just airdropped to Uniswap users. There was maybe 40,000 of them at the time. It's worth billions. This is the world's largest free airdrop. I am saving everybody else's community from the horror of Ethereum gas fees. And I think it's going to be wildly successful. And it's also gate kept. You haven't heard about it have you heard about it on CoinDesk? Have you heard about it on Cointelegraph? Have you heard about it in the newspaper? Now, I
Well,
can
no,
tell you.
we talked about this last time that that HEX was kind of being suppressed.
Yep. And they got used to doing it, and now they're doing it with Pulse. But here's the thing. The difference is...
Are you going to do your own? Are you going to do your own coin tracker, like your own? Like
someone already did it. Somebody already did it, but I would get around to it. Sure, if they didn't, we have to see how well theirs does.
Okay.
So like the issue is, see, from my perspective, like I'm a coins that I invented maximalist, and people are building on top of my products, and they are building cool stuff. There are layer 2 things on HEX which are cool that I don't talk about, but they're actually cool. So somebody like sold fractions in a maxed out gigantic HEX stake so that you could still have liquidity and like trade it, but still be having a giant long stake. Cool idea, right? You know, another guy gave away a free token to people for how long they stake. So he's giving you an incentive to stake. Cool idea, right? Like these are 2 things which add value to the ecosystem. But because they have tickers tied to them, even though they're cool, if people find out about it on their own, fine. But I'm not going to advertise them over the tickers I invented. I like the tickers I invented the most, you know? And so it's like Vitalik. How often do you hear Vitalik talking about ERC20s? Never. He doesn't yield farm. He doesn't talk about ERC20s. His coins just sit there. And so what he does is he tries to pump his bags, and what he has bags of are Ethereum. And so he talks about Ethereum. You know, people tend to talk about what they've got in their bag. Now here's what's interesting about Pulse. Ivan on Tech, sacrifice for Pulse. Rand Neuer, sacrifice for Pulse. BitBoy, sacrifice for Pulse. I think everybody sacrificed for Pulse. I'm talking Crypto Face, everybody. The Moon Carl. I know 100% that these guys sacrifice for Pulse, which means it's going to be in their bag, which means they might talk about it. And this is something that wasn't the case with HEX, you know? Most of these guys didn't have any HEX. And also, HEX was only given to Bitcoin people for free. $500 million of HEX at last week's price, or maybe like, I think it was 20 cents, $500 million worth of HEX was given for free to Bitcoin holders. I don't get a lot of thanks for that. It really pisses me off. I call the top on the day for these guys. I give them exclusively free coins. I allow them to earn yield without counterparty risk, something that Bitcoin can't do. I allow them to have on-chain exchange trading without counterparty risk, something you can't do with Bitcoin. I give these guys the world, and they treat me like crap. It absolutely blows my mind.
If it makes you feel any better, Bitcoin maximalists are just not very nice people in general, and they're very nasty to me as well. So
now I'm giving everyone else free coins except them. Sorry, guys. Now the whole Ethereum network gets free coins. Bitcoin guys don't. You guys had your chance.
How are you making fees free on PulseChain?
Well, the fees will go up over time, just like Ethereum fees did. It is a supply and demand issue. We do start with tons more supply, and we do start with tons less demand because it takes time to go from, you know, maybe 150,000 up to the millions of users that Ethereum has. But it's basically just free because you don't have the negative externalities of having to buy mining equipment and then destroy the environment with electricity costs. And so they're much less expensive to run. And then there's so much extra space with so much fewer users that you end up with like paying pennies instead of, it's going to cost pennies to swap on PulseChain instead of $30 to swap on Uniswap currently. And we've seen it as high as $300. So.
Oh, I've pleased. I made a post a while back about it because I pay, you know, I've got employees, I've got people I got to pay.
Yep.
I've got their families to feed, people do different stuff for me, different services.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes when I want to send a transaction, I think I wanted to swap something. I needed to swap like $2,000 of a moon bag I had because I wanted to pay somebody. Mm-hmm. And it was like freaking $2,000. It was like more expensive for me to swap that, the gas fee.
Yep.
So it's just, you know, it's just a little bit frustrating. I feel like that's why we have such a problem with mass adoption, is because we're not quite ready there yet. But then again, at the same time, it's still a new technology, and maybe PulseChain will be the project to bring in mass adoption.
In that particular case, the funny part is that you only have that high gas fee because of the adoption. So NFT adoption is what caused that gas spike, because they're idiots and they don't know how to develop an on-ramping process.
DeFi too.
They incentivize people to front run each other. Why? So to make miners rich? Why? Why do you care that one guy got in a second for another guy? Why would you do that? It's very easy to design around that. Like it's if you're designing a system that enriches miners to get one guy to front run another guy by a second, you have done your game theory improperly. My projects have never had that problem because they're designed smarter. You don't have to reward people for being 1 second earlier. It's stupid.
I've got 2 more questions for you before we go.
Mm-hmm.
One is a crypto question and one is a human question.
All right.
Is there anything else that you want to talk about, mention regarding HEX or PulseChain to the community?
So I think people, if I were trying to, I think people are overvaluing what they're, how do I say this? If I had to pick a horse to back in the PRC20 copy world, it would be the PRC20 copy that had the most liquidity backing it up. And so because so many participants in the sacrifice sets were probably hexagons to start with, or otherwise just knew of me, I mean, my gut feeling is that the most liquid coin, at least at the start on the PulseChain network, would probably be HEX, or maybe Pulse, or maybe PulseX, one of these 3, right? Because they're kind of tied to me, because I founded them. And then these other, so I know people that are like, or I've heard of people that are like grouping up ERC20s while I'm bearish on the market as a whole. Well, I don't understand that. Like, how long do you want me to be bearish? I believe in the 85% dip, guys. I think Ethereum will drop 85%. I think Bitcoin will drop 85% from their highs. I think Bitcoin will go down to 11,000. I don't know why you would be long those things. So, I think HEX is amazing. I think PulseX is amazing. I think PulseChain is amazing. We'll see how the incentive token does. Hopefully it does well. It's the LP reward incentive token. And so I wouldn't, for me, like if you have, I don't know why you would accumulate an ERC20 in the hopes of getting your PRC20 without knowing that someone wants to buy that PRC20. I would want to see liquidity, right? So I would go on the testnet and look for activity and be like, what ERC20s are people using? And for instance, like we had a lot of SHIB sacrifices. And so I know we had like $3 million of SHIB sacrifice. Okay, well, I know that at least those guys, some part of their community, knows about what's happening and therefore is more likely to participate and maybe add liquidity. And therefore, I would feel more certain that that PRC20 might have more value than other ERC20s. And so I think like if you're trying to like, I don't want people to get wrecked holding ERC20s when I'm bearish on Ethereum and ERC20s in general to wait for their PulseChain copies when like you could, I don't want to give trading advice.
I have a solution.
Yeah.
Solution is make a moon bag. It's just de-risking and profit taking. And this is something I preach about. I don't care what project it is. I don't care how great you think project 123 is. I consistently take profit. I remove my initial, I remove a little bit of profit, and I keep a moon bag, and whatever happens with it happens. And I rinse and repeat and move it on to the next.
So you have that option because you bought early enough to have profit. There's some guys that didn't buy early enough to have profit. They're just in a loss. So they can take profit at a loss.
But it's also risk management. It's also practicing risk management and deciding. And I talk to my audience about this, and I'll always talk to them about it. I don't care what you invest in. You need to have a bullish plan and a bearish plan. Create a trading and create an investing plan. You have to come up with this stuff because dollar cost averaging is great, but at the same time, when we're in a really shitty market like this, it doesn't necessarily work. As you've been around long enough that most of the stuff goes to zero. Here's
the funny thing to me. People are still trying to figure out whether we're in a bear market or not when I called the top a year and like a month or two ago. And it's like, how many more years do you guys need to realize that it's a bear market?
Well, maybe we just keep calling for a bull market until the 2-year cycle of bearishness happens, and then it works out. So that's neither here nor there. I don't want to argue about that on this particular stream. But I think that that's a good way to run your business, because that's the way that I run my stuff in my household as well. I'm very hands-on when it comes to risk.
Let's look at how L1s have done. Luna was an L1, pumped hard. AVAX, L1, pumped hard. Solana, L1, down all the time, pumped hard. Polygon, pumped hard. L1 historically.
Polygon is an L2.
What's an L2s haven't done very well, I don't think.
Right. Well,
these are all L1s, by the way. Like they'll tell, like Polygon will tell you it's an L2. It's not. It's a sidechain. It's an L1.
Okay.
They say it's an L2, but it's really not.
I should have them back on again.
And ours is just better than all theirs. When all those things launched, you didn't get any free coins. When all those things launch, you have to use the bridge and stay encumbered there in horror mode forever. You don't get coins on the other side for free with no bridge risk. Like, you know, ours done coin burning in the system. It's just like better in every way. It's just so beautiful. So and it's gate kept like hell. So people are going to get hit by the hurricane. Why do you think HEX was able to do the returns that it did? Because it was gate kept like hell.
Well, not necessarily that. Well, I'll argue with you. I'll argue with you a little bit on that. The HEX community is very passionate, so they talk about it a lot. So that's why you're here on the show, is on behalf of the HEX community. I get the emails, I get the DMs, I get the mentions, and I listen. I'm one of those, I guess people call me an influencer, which I'm a mom, I'm a content creator. I talk about my kind of journey in crypto, but I listen to people and I care about other people and what their thoughts are, even though if I might disagree. So I don't want to say HEX is super gate kept because people talk about it.
Bro, we're on page 3 of CoinMarketCap for 2.5 years with 100% perfect, flawless operation.
That's them.
Yeah, this is like CoinMarketCap is straight up lying about our position in the market cap ranks for years, to the point where a Hexagon sued them with a class action lawsuit, and they've been dodging the process server, and they finally allowed alternate process. I mean, the gatekeeping is so real, so real. It's like,
I don't want to say it's gatekeeping. I want to say what they're doing is they're just censoring you guys. I feel like censorship would be a better term than gatekeeping. Yeah. Because the HEX community is very proud about PulseChain. They're proud about HEX. They're proud of you.
I mean, crypto in general is gatekept to death. If you try and put an advertisement for a cryptocurrency into the world, they will decline it and remove it.
Guess who did that, though?
Licensed exchanges that victimize you, that have licenses to do so.
No, it's the people in crypto that got in super early, that are dicks to everybody else and mistreat other people, that are not necessarily as tech smart, or not necessarily come from where they come from, or have money, and they're the ones that are doing that. Yeah, that's my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, we are able to route around this gatekeeping to some degree. We had a Daytona NASCAR. We had, I guess that car was in another race as well. Can't remember it off the top of my head. Talladega, maybe. And then, we've got 2 HEX and PulseChain race cars in the GT series in the UK. We had a HEX 3,500 horsepower. That's 3,500 horsepower Lamborghini win a TX 2022 race in Texas, 233.5 in the half mile. And that's miles per hour, 233.5.
Do you remember the calculation in trigonometry to calculate miles per second or miles per whatever? I don't.
I know gravity is 9.8. Oh crap, I don't. Is it 9.76? Fuck, I don't remember. 9.72 meters per second squared? I don't remember. I don't remember terminal velocity. Oh well. Not the terminal velocity is. Anyway, I can tell you this. The rate at which you fall as a human being maxes out, I believe, at 200 kilometers an hour. I know that. So that was the most recent interesting weird thing I looked up. I'm in Mensa, like I'm supposed to be smart, but if you don't use it, you do forget it after a while.
Kind of, sort of. I have one more question for you, but I want to first shout these people out. Shout out to Cryptologia for the super chat. Shout out to Morris. And shout out to David, and also shout out to the Self-Care Lab from Pomona, California. Support them. The owner is a family marriage therapist that uses boxing as a form of mental health therapy, and that's one of the charities I support on my website. So if any Hexakin is listening to this and you guys know of a facility, Pomona, Claremont, Laverne in California, please let us know. We've been kicked out of our home, and we've been looking like crazy for a new home for our children, and our babies, they need a home and they deserve better. So I had to do that.
Wendy, how do you feel about getting free copies of all of your coins on a new chain?
I think I'll do that, and I'll donate them.
I mean, that's awesome. It's really awesome. Right. I think it's really awesome.
I think it's a cool concept, but I've got one final question for you.
Sure.
It's non-crypto related. Are you game?
Yeah, go ahead.
All
I'll
right.
talk about anything, man. I got my PP size on my channel description. Like, I'm talking about anything.
Okay. Changing topics here for a little bit. What is your solution for homelessness? And the reason why I'm asking you that is because you brought it up.
It's primarily a function of mental illness, and so it's extremely hard to solve. Because homelessness isn't actually its own problem. It's a mental illness problem. And the only solution we have for mental illness is meds, and we have very low compliance rates with meds. Correct. I was hanging out with a girl last night. She was manic, extremely happy, extremely talkative, couldn't pay attention, very happy, very fun. But I'm like, I could tell something changed. I'm like, did you, change your dosage? She's like, yeah, I've been increasing my dosage. I'm like, if you do that, you're going to run out. Like your doctor, you need to work with your doctor on that. They're just not going to let you. You are not the person to manage your doses. And then she was telling me about like how 4 months ago she was going to kill herself because she got off her meds. She didn't think she needed them anymore. Mm-hmm. And then after they like get out of your system, now you're into like wrecked, like you're super depressed mode, and your brain tries to find a way out of it. It's like, oh, I'll kill myself. That's a way out. And then luckily, she got back on her meds again. And I know a disproportionate number of mentally ill people, to the point where I think I attract mentally ill people. I don't know what's going on here. Or they're the hot ones. I don't know what the deal is like.
Well, there's a lot to digest in there, and we can speak about that at another time because it's kind of a long conversation. Yeah. But generally, people who attract others with mental illness, they're healers, because they feel that energy and they want help, and they don't know how to communicate that they need help. So they gravitate towards people who are healers that are able to kind of translate them. For example, my sister, growing up, she had really bad ADHD. We thought it was ADHD, but now as an adult, I really think it's autism because she's having a lot of problems, doing a lot of things that we take for granted that we can do on our own. And as growing up, she was always very close to me all the time because she would make noises or she would, say something and it didn't make sense, but I was able to translate what it meant.
Right. That's a cool insight. I never really thought about that. I give off a dad vibe. And I think
that's probably what it is. And they're probably like, he can help me, or he can understand what I'm saying and not be an asshole.
Yep. And I
let's
really
face it, most people with money are dicks.
Yeah.
In crypto, especially in crypto.
Yeah. I mean, but so it's a little bit unfair because it's skewed because we notice the dicks. There's a bunch of quiet guys that are totally chill and cool that we just never notice because they're not being dicks. So basically, like most altcoiners are Bitcoiners. And most Bitcoiners are actually cool. But because the laser eye guys that are so disrespectful and ungrateful, and I got to come slap those guys around. So like when Bitcoin's crashing, you're going to see me tweet a lot about it. But Ethereum's crashing just as hard, but you don't see me savaging those guys. So I'll savage the Bitcoin guys because they deserve that shit. Like you know what? Hey, moderate Bitcoin guys, if you want me to stop savaging you, why don't you back me up with your psycho squad of idiots that says stupid things constantly, like Bitcoin's deflationary? Well, if it makes
you feel any better about it, if it makes you feel any better about it, I was verbally harassed at Bitcoin 2022, and that's never happened to me at an altcoin event. And there was a couple other girls that experienced harassment and sexual harassment at that event, which was not, it shouldn't happen to men or women, but it was just very interesting that it was like a total of 4 of us, all women, that experienced that at a Bitcoin event. Which
I won Scammer of the Year for the 2nd year in a row.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Awesome? You know who my competition was? Elon Musk. And I'm like, yo, this is cool. I beat so Elon Musk is a scammer to you guys? You guys are so stupid. Like, what is wrong with you guys? Like the guy that allowed you to use Bitcoin to buy cars and bought $1.5 billion of it, he's a scammer to you guys. Now look, he promotes some things that aren't optimal technology, but my God, talk about trying to alienate dudes. Like It's so stupid.
Well, that's one of the reasons why we don't have adoption is because of toxicity. Because let me tell you something.
God.
One of the things I learned working in healthcare, and I worked in a very, very diverse healthcare community. I worked in HIV/AIDS, infectious disease. And one of the things about that particular area is that it does not discriminate, doesn't care who you are, where you come from. You know, generally people with diabetes, it's predisposed, it's a genetic thing, whatever, you know, it depends, or if you eat very, very unhealthy. But when we're talking about HIV/AIDS, anybody can get it if you practice, you know, certain things.
There is a strong skew to gay guys getting it though.
Well,
gay guys have like 4 to 1 the rate of AIDS.
Well, that's because there's a lot of addiction.
Because their butts bleed, is why.
Well, not necessarily, but there's a lot of addiction that has them participate in risky activity. But funny enough, we used to get a lot of straight guys that would come into our facility and say, well, I accidentally did this. I need a test.
Yeah, dude.
We get a lot of those, a lot of really rich guys that would come in and do that.
You need a test for a friend, but the friend is you. You're like, all right.
No, well, I accidentally let somebody do this to me, and it was a boy. Yeah. It's like, okay, that's fine. We don't care. We're here to help you. But anyways, back to my point. Yeah. My point is in the particular community that I serviced 200 to 300 patients per month. And we had all these different cultures and all these people with different backgrounds that would come in, men, women, gay, straight, whatever it was. And one of the things I had to do because I did patient adherence, I made sure my clients took their medication or went to where they needed to go. So I had to learn how to speak and to communicate with different cultures. And one of the things I noticed with this is that if you want to get somebody to do something that's good for their health, you have to figure out how to listen, to be respectful.
And find out what they care about.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I would always ask them. I knew their regiments, I knew their partners' names, I knew their animals' names, I knew if they had kids, their ex-wives, all of that business.
The solution to mental illness is better pills or better adherence. And that's it. And that's the same solution there is to homelessness.
No, mental illness, there's a lot of, we can have a whole entire separate stream on this.
It depends on how crazy you are. You can do like CBT therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy does get results for bipolar people.
You know what helped me?
But like probably therapy?
No, therapy was the worst thing that happened to me. Worst thing, the most detrimental thing.
Tell me.
I have seen probably over 30 therapists, and the only therapist I was able to resonate with was my boxing coach, because we use boxing as a form of mental health therapy, and we also did other different types of things. She also had not the exact same childhood as I did, but a lot of traumatic things that we both encountered. I was able to relate to her because a lot of these people with these fancy degrees, they feel that they're up here and you're down here, and that doesn't work with me, as I'm not interested in being.
I think there's a lot of therapists that are bad at their job.
They're terrible. Yeah. But what worked for me was doing positive affirmations, and that helped.
Therapist. I trained to be a life coach. I've walked on burning coals, jumped off telephone poles, whatever, done all this various exciting crap and studied it. If you pay someone money to go and talk about stuff that sucks for an hour every week, that's one bad hour you're going to have every week. Mm-hmm. When you talk about stuff that sucks, when you focus on stuff that sucks, when you use your body in a disempowering way with low energy, low movement, it all sucks. You're going to have suck outcome. If you look at people that are healthy, they eat healthy. If you look at people that have great bodies, they move around more. Success leaves clues. And so if you want the mental health, emotional health, physical health that those people have, you got to do the stuff they do. They dance, they move, they compete, they
twerk.
Are social. I twerk. It's fun. I don't know that many moves. I got one good one. And it sure is funny. Should I do it for you now?
Yeah, do it.
Should I? Can I do this? Let me see if I can get it. Okay. So fine.
I love it. Thank you.
That's why you came here. My PP size was in the video description. You knew something terrible was happening. It happened to you. You earned it.
Well,
if you're still watching after 2 hours, you earned that. So like, if you focus on what sucks, you're gonna have a bad time. You need to focus on what you want, and that's why positive affirmations is better than talking about stuff that sucks and hoping that somehow works. Talking about stuff that sucks doesn't actually work.
Correct, it does not.
Doing the right thing works. Talking about not cake makes you fat. Talking about broccoli makes you healthy. Eating broccoli makes you healthy. Talking about not cake, you'll just eat cake. So.
Cake is good though. I mean, I really enjoy. The chat is going crazy right now. I had to chat.
Yeah, my chat's also going crazy, dude.
I love it. Well, Richard.
Hashtag my life savings is in this man's hands. No.
Well, I want to actually thank you coming on. Thank you for your time today, coming on and chatting with us. It was a very fun experience. Again, you guys, this is not an endorsement. I just like talking to very interesting people. And I actually happen to like Richard for his personality. He's a very fun person to talk to.
Thanks,
I generally don't, I have a really, and I don't know if it's because when I lived in Hollywood, but just dudes with money kind of bother me because they're dicks. And I just don't like, yeah, I'm just not interested in it. I like people that are nice people, and you seem like a very nice person.
Thank you. I try. I do all this money stuff because it lets me change the world in a positive way. I don't want to collect. I've got $9 million of wristwatches I don't set the time on. I don't actually want to enslave people in Geneva to build these stupid things, but I'm just doing anything I can to get people to notice me so that I can bring them to a better place. You know, I published a self-help book. Not many people have read it, even in my own community. I got so much more to do, you know, like you can't influence people unless they notice you. So I'm out here trying my best and the only ways I know how to make the world a better place.
Well, I appreciate your time. I hope to have you on the show again.
It's been great.
To talk to us about some other stuff. But anyways, before we get going here, any final words you would like to give the audience?
Go to pulsechain.com, try the testnet. It's free, it's fun, it works now. Copy of all your coins are already there. If we took that snapshot months ago. So your copy that you have will be months old. PulseX.com, nice. HEX.com, very, very awesome. My free self-help books, t.me/scivive, like survive through science. Sens.org, if you want to support medical research. Please follow me on Instagram, instagram.com/RichardHartOfficial, twitter.com/RichardHartWin. That's where I'm most active. And youtube.com/RichardHart. I think that covers it.
Awesome. Well, thank you for having me on your channel, and thank you for coming on my channel. You guys, make sure to I have to do the cringy outro, so you have to bear with me.
It's all good.
Make sure to smash that like, comment, subscribe, set alerts. And I hate doing that because that's not me, but like you said, you do the rich guy stuff because people like it. Yep. I just like to be myself because I'm kind of a hood bitch, but people don't like that. So I am whatever, because I come from like the rocker background, the streets, whatever. But anyways, I will see you guys later. I'll probably drop a little video on Luna